I don't know if that's going to matter at this time of year. We're a lot different than we were it's been 6, 7 years now. I mean, I think he knows me. He follows us. We're good friends. I follow them. But following somebody and watching exactly what they're doing are two different things. We talk every once in a while on the phone and maybe exchange how to deal with things, but usually not tactical things of X's and O's. So, I mean, he's going to have an understanding that what our strengths are. I have an understanding what his are, but other than that, with the players and everything, I don't know if it's going to have much change.
How are they different, Tom? Or how is he different? His style, is it similar to what you saw?
Yeah, it really is. They play a lot, probably even more man than they used to, although they will zone a little bit. I think for the most part, this year's team runs a little bit more. He's got a point guard that really gets after it and gets it up and down the court. In fact, they got two real good points, one that started a couple years, and now they got one that has almost, I won't say beat him out, but he's playing in front of the other one. So when he comes in, they've got something coming off the bench. They've got experience. They're very, very athletic inside. And I really like his team. That was no surprise to me. And my own secret pool, I thought they had a great chance and would win.
Tom, why then the 5-12? We see that a lot. And when you're watching that Cincinnati game with them, they look like the better team start to finish yesterday. Is that just flubbing the eye test by us every year, or what?
Well, I think the 5-12 goes because of the criteria it is to seed a team. Strength of schedule. I mean, there's no way Harvard's ever going to be, because they're going to play 14 or 16 conference games against teams that aren't in anybody's top 150, maybe 100. So I think that's why they're, along with some other decent conferences that are that way. It's and that's why I think there's that spot at the 13, 12, 11 seeds, that those teams are good enough. They just might not play in conferences that have enough other teams good enough to raise their RPI, which is some of the criteria for moving teams up in the seedings.
When you're a favorite and everyone's talking about you the way they are, does it help you when your kids turn on the TV and Duke loses to Mercer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I could look at it the other way too. It makes me more nervous because they were the favorite team by far, and it can happen to anybody. So which way do you use it? Whatever ways works to your advantage. At the end of the day, I'm like everybody else. You look at Cinderella and you like Cinderella for a while, but eventually the slipper doesn't fit. And I like the year when we had 3 out of the 4 teams were 1 seeds at the Final Four, and there was a 2 and 3 1s. I mean, when you're really playing good people, a lot of times, most of the time, our bracket hasn't changed much, 1 to 4. A couple years it got blown up, and I don't know how I handle that, except to let everybody know that nobody knows who we are either, because we've had so many different lineups and so many different things, and you try to compare our scores against Columbia or this or that, and just so many different things happen that time of the year that, I look at a team like Duke, and the only negative that I can see in that for me is it's a program that I respect a lot because they've been consistent, and here's 2 out of the last 3 or 2 out of the last 4 years, whatever it's been, that they've been beaten by a 14 and a 15 seed. It brings perspective that the parity is here to stay.
Do you see that underdogs get more momentum in a small gym like this because the crowd can really get involved? 10,000 right on top of you, and the underdogs really pull the neutral crowd.
I don't know if it bothers. We've played in enough arenas where we've been 20,000 against us, so I don't know if that makes a difference. I think the underdog gets momentum in the locker room. I think the underdog gets momentum the night before the game because you're feeling so good about yourself. And what does the favorite do? Well, the favorite, number one, you got to guard against being overconfident or looking past, which that won't happen here. But I think that happens sometimes. And also that, there is a burden to being picked higher. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's more exciting, but reality hits when the ball's tossed, and usually after a couple minutes, if you can weather those first couple minutes of the storm, then it's just basketball.
Have you ever thought about how weird things have been so far? Like, you're playing with Judd here, you and Tommy playing against each other, Steve Fish is in the building, that's when you guys met when you were recruiting Weber. You're playing Harvard, you played Princeton, your first NCAA tournament, the second game. I don't know if you've thought about any of those things, but it's kind of full circle kind of stuff, isn't it?
Well, now that you say it, there are a couple unique things. I mean, the only one I really worried about is, for me, Emmerich and I were good friends when we were recruiting Weber, and that's where we met. We were as friends as you could be with the rivalry, and there's been great respect, I think, from both of us as far as what he's accomplished, what I've accomplished. I think we both appreciate it, and the other things, now that you mention them, there are a lot of unique things, but it's probably not going to change anything because my players, some of them weren't even born then. And so I don't think they give a damn about the Fab Five or what happened then, or they don't care about, what went on when we played Princeton. Different coach, different time. But it is unique how the world works, and maybe what goes around comes around, and here we are back in a similar setting.
Tom, is there anyone on the current Harvard roster that you took a serious look at in terms of recruiting, and maybe vice versa?
No, I knew of their point guard up in Minnesota, and I knew of Travis up there, but not anybody we have, not for any negative reason or positive. For the most part, we're recruiting a more geographic area than they do. And but I think he's done a great job. I love both those inside kids. I just think he's got a very good team. It's, when you say Harvard or when you say Princeton, I think a lot of people overlook. They think of the Ivy League, and that team is good enough to compete in a lot of conferences. And I think if they did too, they would have been a much higher seed. I think Cincinnati would agree with that.
Since you've been so good in these quick turnarounds in the tournaments, what is it about the rest of your staff that makes them so successful when the clock is ticking?
Well, I think the big advantage, is DJ's been with me the whole time through all of it, just about after the national championship. And, he's the rock of that group as far as understanding what we got to do. And now this year we have a new video guy and informing him what's got to be done. Managers pass it on from year to year. Mike has bounced back, and I think Dana's done a good job adjusting in. We got a system down, and even with our coaches, we plug them into the system. If they got new ideas, we'll listen, but ain't broke, why fix it type theory. And so we plug them into the system more than we let them create the system.
How's Brett doing in this first?
It's been good. I mean, he's forgot to make sure the presses are out here or there, but for the most part, being a manager here too helped him because of that. He went through the system before, and then he went to the Big Ten office, and Brett is well schooled, so it's been pretty seamless for him.
As well as you, Tom, know each other and respect each other, like each other. Is it hard to coach against someone like that? Or?
Always hard to coach against a friend, a true friend, and it'll be that way. But we both understand it. We both get it. We'll put that aside for 2 hours, and then it'll go the same way. And I say that because there is great respect, and we had it for a lot of years. We were through some interesting things back in the late 80s, early 90s together, and spent a lot of time on the road and a lot of time talking.